Sun-Mars combinations. This is a potent combination for leadership, for getting things done, for achieving one's goals. And why is that? Because in the astrological pantheon, the sun is the king. The sun is the ruler. Mars is the general. Mars is the one that gets things done. And this is one of the reasons why having the sun in Mars' sign, it works so well. It's where it's exalted there in Aries. Because we take the sun and we're sticking it essentially in the house of its general. And the general is there to do the bidding of the sun. So that makes the sun have the capacity to accomplish its goals. We have to remember the sun is our capacity for inspiration, for achieving our purpose consistently. And when we think about the Sun-Mars combination, what do we get? Well, Mars is the warrior, the fighter. So the person's going to fight for their principles, their higher ideals, their values. They're going to fight for their kingdom, whatever that might be. And what's the kingdom they're fighting for? Well, the Sun-Mars combination, it's going to be the kingdom related to the sign that they fall in. So again, you have to know what the natures of the signs are. It's going to be related to the house in which it falls in. So if you know what house and what sign the Sun-Mars combination falls in, this is where a person's going to take initiative, where they're going to have a strong resistance to avoiding obstacles. They're going to be competitive with that house. They're going to be spontaneous with that house. They're going to be able to achieve their goals probably relatively quickly with that house. Again, we do have to consider the dignity of the planets when we're thinking about this, because the better the dignity, the better it will work. The worse the dignity, the more frustration there might be, because the planets might not be in a sign that supports their personal agendas. But overall, the Sun-Mars combination, it can make one somewhat aggressive, quite aggressive, a type A personality. And if you're around someone with a Sun-Mars combination and you're not real comfortable with that, you might not like this person. But those of you who like to get things done, who are inspired, who enjoy the challenge of whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, well then the Sun-Mars combination can be very enjoyable. It's not necessarily the best combination for things like relationships, interpersonal relationships, again, unless we're talking about like a brotherhood, or if we're talking about a group of peers coming together to accomplish something. So it's great for clubs and whatnot. But when it comes to personal relationships, this can give a person a very aggressive personality, as well as a strong sense of right and wrong. I mean, they pretty much think they know what is right, and they're going to defend it, and they're going to fight for it. So if you have relationships that are like that and you enjoy it, that's fine. But if that kind of turns you off a little bit, the Sun-Mars combinations might be difficult for you. One of the difficulties with Sun-Mars combinations is they typically like instant gratification. They typically like people to do what they want them to do right then. So they want what they want when they want it. It can make a person impatient and overbearing. With a female, especially if this is in the ascendant, this can make them somewhat masculine. With a male, this can make them quite driven. So again, you females who like the extremely driven types, look for someone with a Sun-Mars combination. They usually do good in professions that require a strong personality, a strong sense of principle, a strong sense of character, a strong sense of leadership. So doctors, modern doctors at least, anyone involved in self-improvement or training, anyone involved in military service can have a strong Sun-Mars combination. Remember that the goal of Sun and Mars is to lead a person, to lead and inspire. And sometimes that inspiration comes by pushing you extremely hard. So Sun-Mars individuals can be very good at things like training others, participating in group sports, things of this nature. But typically, they'll end up being the leader of the group. And if you get two Sun-Mars combinations, well, that can be an interesting thing to watch. But Sun-Mars, it's actually a pretty good combination overall. It is quite aggressive, quite fiery. Can be great for things like engineering, again, being a doctor, any kind of profession where it's required of you to take initiative, to inspire others, to lead others. And whatever house this combination falls in, is typically going to be where you're going to find this energy. Whatever sign it falls in, that's going to help you understand whether the energy is going to function well or not. Because again, the better the dignity of these two planets, the more they will be a kind of leader that you want to follow, or they will inspire you in a way that even if it comes across as harsh or cruel, because these are cruel planets, you'll still feel like, okay, well, that's all right, I can handle it. But when we start getting these planets in bad dignity, or enemy signs and so on, this is where we're going to get more of the tyrannical nature coming out. So there's pluses and minuses, good and bad, with all planetary combinations. And most of the time, what's going to determine how well it's going to work is going to be based on, number one, the dignity of the planets, the signs that they're in, as well as what is the relationship of these planets together. Okay, so here's some thoughts on the Sun-Mars combination.